What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Arti, Executive Director of Film. It's the art. I'm so excited. I can't even say the name of the company. Like we're so back. Football season's back. The Sunday Spiral is back. We are back talking football weekly here for you guys. I have Hayden, our newest scout to the department,
What's
making
up,
waves
guys?
during summer scouting. And I got Moody, of course, regular rotation guy here on the Sunday Spiral. How are you guys doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm really just ready to be done working and just talking some ball and just chatting. How about you guys?
I was getting those butterflies in my stomach before we got on camera again. It's been a while since I had that really good feeling. That really shows you that football season is around the corner, and that's what we're all excited about.
Hell
For
yeah,
sure,
baby.
bro. For sure. Like it's so good to be back on camera. It was a long off season. A lot went on as far as our personal lives. I'm sure a lot went on definitely when it came to our respective teams, and more importantly, a lot went on in the NFL. Well, I guess for us, Moody, lack thereof,
I was
right?
like, a
Because
lot for the Cowboys.
a lot of drama,
Yeah.
a lot of drama. Uh, so how was everyone's off season? Like, what did you do over, I guess, the spring and summer? Anything new happen in your life? Anything you want to tell YouTube? Like, how was you guys' off season?
Hey, you two don't got to be all in my business or anything like that. But, it was a good off season of I think I speak for a lot of Cowboys fans here. It was an off season of reflection. You really had to you really got to dig down deep this year to really find that love for football after what happened in January, and just being able to, you know, this back off from the Cowboys and kind of think about the league as a whole and get your fanship out of it. Yeah, I still like football, man. The love I have for football, January 13th of this year till today, two totally different people. And just evolving over the summer has really been a big thing for me. But when we aren't talking about the Cowboys, off season's been great. Hell of a summer. Excited to be back.
Nice. Yeah. Glad to hear it, bro. Same here. I feel like it's been for me, been a pretty busy off season. Just grinding at work and stuff like that, and then I was busy posting some summer scouting videos here on YouTube. I posted 3. Go give them a watch if you haven't.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, just excited to be back, be watching football with everybody, and yeah. How about you, Artie? You been doing anything fun?
Yeah, I've had a pretty busy summer. Started a new job. Um, Kind of stepped away from filmish art a little bit this summer. Was mainly focusing on more music and everything. Hit over 1,000 streams this summer. So music's going well. Other than that, yeah, I've just been chilling. Obviously still watching tape on some of these summer scouting prospects and watching light NFL tape, getting ready for the season. But honestly, for me, this is probably the least football involved summer I've had in a long time. But I've needed it. I've personally put in a lot of work. For filming this art and everything. So it was nice to kick my feet up a little bit this off season.
Good shit, bro. Bro, ready to lose my fucking mind again. Let's go.
Right.
Life of both of our fandoms. Ready
Yep.
for heartbreak.
Hey man, I can sympathize with you being a Chargers fan because as Moody said, we're both Cowboys fans, so we kind
No,
of
I
we kind
know.
of we kind of
That's the West
understand.
Coast Cowboys.
Literally,
Literally, it's the Cowboys with a slightly poorer owner. That's what it is.
this is a very interesting first question, but I feel like it's a very necessary one for the things that we're talking about today. Um, Man, when it comes to the NFL, there is one position that stands above most all, I should say, importance, and that's the quarterback position. So my question to you two gentlemen to start this episode is: what makes a quarterback successful, or should we have said more successful? Is it scheme? Is it talent, as in the quarterback's talent, or the supporting cast around them? To start off, I'll throw this first question to Moody.
Well, obviously, all three matter, and I think that's the biggest thing that I want to make sure to emphasize before getting into the question. So I kind of did what order do they matter, and I think of supreme top importance. I think it's talent, and I think that's pretty clear. You got to be able to play the game, and at the quarterback position, you got to be able to play the game at a mental and physical level, and being able to do both of those things. I think that helps you overcome deficits at the other two more than what the other two can. So definitely got to have that talent first, and then I would move into scheme. And I think scheme and talent are pretty much right here in terms of my opinion. Like I could have gone either way with this one. We've seen the coach on the screen right here, Kyle Shanahan. We've seen guys like offensive coordinators who became head coaches who became great ones can basically be quarterback themselves as long as they have a guy who's decent at it. So being able to open players up and and take advantage of defenses is a huge part of how a quarterback can be successful, because if the scheme's not good, the QB is going to struggle a lot of the time unless he can just overcome it with talent, which some can do, but there's a limited ceiling on that. And then the supporting cast, the worse you are, the better the supporting cast is necessary. But I don't think if you have the other two things, you don't need supporting cast as much. Versus if you have a supporting cast, you still need a decent scheme and decent talent to actually get you to the promised land.
100%. I couldn't agree with that more, honestly. Hayden.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach here and kind of say that you're honestly asking the $1,000,000 question in a sense, because if someone could identify the thing that makes quarterbacks successful, they'd be, hitting at a much higher rate in the NFL. You wouldn't have somebody like Brock Purdy, who is a, decent starting quarterback, falling to the last overall pick. So I'm going to say like that it all kind of weights on each other. Like you don't have one without the other, in the sense it's like, Moody brought up, like, yeah, if you're more talented, you can have less of a supporting cast and less of a scheme and still be successful. That being said, it can be the reverse, where you can have less talent and still have the scheme and the supporting cast, and then put up numbers and be a great regular season quarterback. I'm not going to name names, but so I really think that it's something that people haven't quite identified. It all is important. I would say that, yeah, maybe you give the actual ability and athleticism a slight edge up, just because it doesn't hurt to be 6'6", doesn't hurt to be huge, be able to play the game exactly. But that being said, I wouldn't really weight the other two much further behind, because it really is just a perfect combination that creates the best results.
I'd argue Green Bay's figured it out, but everybody else is still working on it.
Yeah, Green Bay's doing something up there, because that gentleman, that Love gentleman.
Yeah, he faced a Staley defense. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. For me, when it comes to quarterbacks and what makes them successful, it's a very simple but complicated question, because as a quarterback scout, obviously I would say talent first, right? But you can have all the talent in the world and you could fail because you don't have the supporting cast to support you. You could have all the talent in the world and have a terrible coordinator or a redundant head coach and be wasting your talent. So, in my opinion, even though I obviously posed the question, this question is kind of, simple but complicated. If you have the talent, you're already halfway there. But in my opinion, the other two, depending on the type of quarterback too, because if we're talking about a pocket passer in today's NFL, I would argue that scheme is more important because if you're a pocket passer in today's NFL, where everyone's getting smaller and faster, the game might be a little more difficult for you to win with your, athletic ability. But that's where scheme comes in, right? Also, where supporting cast comes in because if you're not the best, athlete at the quarterback position, I should say, your receivers on the outside, your tight end, your running back could make your life easier, especially if you have like a quick release and get the ball out faster. So it just all depends on the type of quarterback you are, I guess. And honestly, it just depends on your development too. Because you could have a talented quarterback like a Caleb Williams, or you could have like a quarterback like Bryce Young. If you ask this question for Caleb Williams, what makes him most successful? The answer's probably going to be talent because Caleb Williams is an all-world talent. For Bryce Young is a good talent, but Bryce Young in the wrong scheme can look like how he looked last year. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. No,
So,
I'm with you.
so that's just how I feel on the quarterback tiers from top to bottom. As you guys see here are the tier list breakdown categories. We have tier one, we have elite. You can also put great if you want to, elite/great quarterback. Tier two, great or good quarterback, depending on how you slice it. Tier three, good to average quarterback, and tier four, an unproven or a bad quarterback.
See, I
Um,
one quick
but go
thing.
ahead.
I
No, go ahead.
actually I actually even dropped unproven out of bad, so I have a fifth tier. So I have all the ones you listed, and then I have bad, and then underneath that is unproven, just because I can't rate someone who hasn't taken tons of snaps as bad if they're just haven't played. But I digress.
You got to prove to be bad.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Just like you got to prove to be good, you got to prove to be bad.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like I broke up my tier four into two. Like I have A and a B.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into it then. Our tier four reveal. We'll let Hayden go first with his tier four. I guess you can start with rookies or bad, however you want to do it.
So I'll start with my it's not it's the tier on the bottom of my list, which is kind of unfair because it's not the quote unquote bottom tier. I put all of the first and second year players except for one in this list, including Caleb Williams, who was drafted this year first overall, who's so far looking like he's going to be really, really, really good. And I just want to make that known, that's just the way that I broke this down. Um, and it's more just because I want to. I don't think that someone who's only played a year has been judged enough or fairly enough as to someone who's played longer than that. Again, aside from one person. So, with that being said, I have my tier five or my unproven tier as Caleb Williams, Will Levis, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. Cool. And then, do you guys want to do your unproven / rookie / bad?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a twist, so I'll go ahead and go. Obviously, all the rookies get put into the unproven category together, and then a couple of the year two guys: Richardson, Bryce Young, Will Levis. Those guys are obviously on it, and then a veteran unproven guy, and Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who is in my unproven list because 2022, looks like the fall off was coming. It seemed like the drop off had finally started to make it, and then he joins a new team and tears his Achilles 4 plays into the season. We have no idea who that guy is, in my opinion, at this point. Like we'd like to believe that a year off, and he still plays quarterback, so you don't expect the fall off to be too bad off of injury like that if he still has the mental of it. But it can be pretty bad. Like there's a small possibility here that he looks completely toast, and the Jets are going to have to be looking for another quarterback in 2025. Another veteran that I put on this list who might just have to get tossed into the bad category these days is Deshaun Watson, where this is a guy who missed a couple of years. He looked awful pretty much every time he's put on the uniform in Cleveland. But it's just like this dude, I don't even think he's 30 yet. He seemed like he was a no doubt top 5 guy when he was at his peak. And it's just like, is that gone? It's possible. We haven't seen it in a couple of years. But I still think there's a better than 0% chance that he can still move up into a tier 2, tier 3 guy. So I'm putting him in the unproven for now, but he's leaning towards bad.
Good take. On both of
man.
those veterans too, I didn't
that
even
was
think about that. I immediately put them in tiers, but
that was very interesting
I like it.
because one, on a personal level, that was satisfying here as a Cowboys fan. I'm not gonna lie, but on a evaluator level, I mean that's so true. Like I'm not gonna lie, I put Rodgers in tier 2, but that was off of reputation. Moody basically just reminded me like, wait a minute, this guy in 2022 was all right, and then last year he popped his Achilles. So that's true. Like we have no idea who that is. So shout out to Moody for that because that is a very very real statement. Yeah, I was just making some last minute adjustments to my list.
Good. I did the same.
So for the youngsters, number 1, I actually have Anthony Richardson. Number 2, I've got Bryce Young, Will Levis, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix. Bo Nix is last for me.
Same
But
here.
what I meant to say was I need to take McCarthy and put him under Nix only because he's injured now.
I still kept him high because he was showing out for a minute, and I'm really rooting for the kid just because he did get blasted so hard by a lot of people. Like I want him to do well at this point. But
Yeah, I was one of them. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. Yeah, I know.
But no, I'm not. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It was just preseason, and practices. But he looked really good. He looked really good.
He's like,
All right. Should we move on to the?
Let's talk about the trash cans.
Yeah, the bad guys.
Let's talk about the trash cans.
I only had 2 guys who I think, 3. Yeah, 3 guys who I think have legitimately proven that they are bad that I expect to start this season. That is Russell Wilson. That is Daniel Jones. That is Derek Carr. Those are the 3 guys who I know those teams are looking for quarterbacks. I don't know if those guys are making it through the season as starters. We've seen enough. We've seen enough. That is the category I would put them in. The we've seen enough category.
Wow,
That's fair. So I have a handful more. And mine go from the, like you said, to those guys to the, we are quote unquote starters, but we just drafted a quarterback. So not for long. So I've got, and this is in my order, I've got Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Kenny Pickett, Jacoby Brissett, and Jarrett Stidham. I know that's like kind of scratching the bottom of the barrel there with Pickett through Stidham, but shit, man, Pickett was a first-round pick, and I don't know how, but yeah, so clearly people have seen enough from him. But yeah, I don't know. So that's my list of bad, and I might be a little bit harsh on a couple. I'm kind of regretting. Geno Smith right now. I might.
Yeah, that was going to be the one. That was going
I
to be
feel
the one
like
I was
I
going to
feel
talk
like I
about.
should. I'm gonna move him to the top, to the bottom of average. Honestly,
Yeah, Gino's in my tier 3 as well. I feel like he's shown that he's elite. He can play.
he
It
can
ain't
play.
great, but
Yeah,
he can play.
He can play at least.
I had him in my tier 4 too. I'm gonna move him too. Don't worry, Hayden.
Yeah, I think it's just like I was thinking about it, and then as I said it out loud, I was like, "Nah, that one doesn't fit."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Geno Smith. His name in that bundle of trash just stood out. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
That's all
exactly.
right. That's all right.
You don't deserve to be on that list.
No,
Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
just
you've done a
one
little bit
up, one
better.
up. We know.
yeah. Um, I'll go ahead and do mine. Russell Wilson. This is in order. Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Aiden O'Connell, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, and Daniel Jones. As far as who I think has a chance to get off this list this year, I think Sam Darnold. Now with McCarthy completely out of the rearview mirror, I think Sam Darnold has one real last chance to really have a full NFL season to himself, where he can finally prove that maybe he can be a reliable backup. Um, but at this point, the hopes of him becoming, a bridge quarterback or anything like that are like, in my opinion, dead in the water. So we'll see. As Moody already said with Deshaun Watson, I think there's a reason why Amari Cooper said, I wouldn't mind at all going in that projected trade to San Francisco. I think that Deshaun Watson, after the charges that he faced, after the things that he went through, I just think he's just not the same. And I
Well,
don't know what it is, because I
so
feel like the ability is still there, but I think his mind is just gone. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
he's reading NFL defenses the same way, like, at all.
and that's kind of what I was gonna kind of, sorry to jump in like that,
No,
but
you're good. Go ahead.
I did want to talk about that as well. Also, we are still on tier 4. Yeah, no, I think that you miss a full year, and it's not like you miss a year for an injury, which you're still around the facility, you're still working out, you're still in the football mindset. You miss a year for like really, really problematic legal troubles. Like, you're not around the facility, you're not doing anything like football related. You might be working out, you're definitely working out, but like, it's more like he didn't see game speed in a year that was probably really crucial to his development, and so he just dropped off. So it's like,
And he missed a year before that.
that's right, because
He missed a whole another year because he sat out. So
sat out. So
that's
yeah,
a
he
long
missed
time.
2 years actually. Yeah, that's exactly what the drop off.
What did he sit out for again?
Contract?
He was mad at Houston.
Well, I don't feel bad for him. He signed that contract
No,
and
of
then
course
got
not.
mad about it. Like, bro,
After Hopkins got traded, like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was like, oh, I signed and then Hopkins was gone.
Yeah,
no,
no.
he knew Hopkins was gone and he signed it anyway.
All right. But sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt the rest of your tier 4. Go ahead,
Oh
dog.
no, you're good. That's everybody. I don't want to waste any air or energy on Daniel Jones and Derek Carr. They are what they are.
I am a Gardner Minshew guy, though. I will say I do like Gardner Minshew.
We like Gardner Minshew.
I feel like the only reason I didn't put guys like Minshew on the list was because I feel like if you're in a quarterback battle, you have to at least put the guy on the list you think is going to win the job. That's why I put O'Connell. I think O'Connell's going to win the
I
job.
think Minshew wins. I don't think O'Connell's that good, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but the thing about O'Connell though with the Raiders is, see, you know exactly what Minshew is.
Yeah,
O'Connell is.
he doesn't. Yeah,
He's damn near Minshew's age, but you don't know what you have.
they'll look into that. But I mean, NFL snaps and experience are definitely a thing. So I think that at the end of the day, they brought in Minshew to push O'Connell, and if he's not taking the step, then they'll start Minshew. Either way, I love how we were like, let's not waste time on these
Yeah,
guys, and then get into a
we have
conversation about Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. All right, should we go to tier 3?
yeah. That's where we're going right now,
Let's
brother.
do it.
I'll kick this one off.
Yeah, do it.
So as we start tier 3 here, this is where I'm sure that we'll all have different opinions. Everyone's just gonna have a uninterrupted chance to really just go over their list and I guess give a light breakdown of each quarterback and why they're in a spot. I'm gonna actually read this one in reverse. I'm gonna read this from the bottom of tier 3 to the top.
It's a good call.
So to the starting at the bottom of tier 3, I have Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield had an outstanding season last year. If you would have asked me last year what I thought of Baker Mayfield, he'd be in tier 4. But Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay, it just clicked, man. Playing that Dave Canales system that Bryce Young's about to play in, it just clicked. Throwing to Mike Evans,
Chris Godwin.
Godwin, like bro, it was just a beauty. White in the backfield, like it was awesome to see Baker Mayfield finally get that chance to show why he was taking number 1 overall. And for Tampa Bay, I mean, you go from Tom Brady, have a year of whatever, and then you get Baker, like that'll work, that'll play. You know what I'm saying? So Baker Mayfield at the bottom of tier 3 for me. Next, Hayden's gonna get kicked out of this one. Tua Tagovailoa. I understand that Tua Tagovailoa got paid. I'm thankful to Miami for taking care of that young man and his finances, but Tua Tagovailoa is just one of those quarterbacks for me where if you would have told me back in 2018 when he was throwing to Judy, Waddle, Ruggs, Smith, that he was going to be this in the league, I would have laughed at you. I would have thought, there's no way, right? There's no way. But Tua Tagovailoa, time and time again last year, specifically in big moments and big games, just showed that he's a quarterback to where without Tyreek Hill, without, immense talent around him and, as we talked about earlier, the scheme that Mike McDaniel has, you're just a guy, and I like Tua. It's nothing against Tua personally. I like him. I like him his game. I love, the accuracy, everything. But Tua Tagovailoa for me is a guy that I wouldn't call him in a way like I wouldn't call him a system quarterback, but I think he only thrives in certain systems. You see what I'm saying? Like there's certain quarterbacks that are like plug and play, and it's not a slight. It's more of that's just who they are, and that's where I'm at with Tua right now.
Yeah, when I was thinking of tier 3, I was like, all right, you guys can be good in certain situations, but I can't put you on all 32 teams and expect to have a good season from you.
Exactly.
That's really what I saw over tier. Like you aren't moving the needle. You can be a good player, even there's a couple guys in here who have been great players in their careers. But if I throw you on a random team on a Sunday in Buffalo, I don't think you're going to be doing much of anything. And that's really who I kept on this list right here.
For sure. Next, I have Kirk Cousins. I'm interested to see how Kirk Cousins does in Atlanta coming off that Achilles, but when Kirk Cousins is right, man, Kirk Cousins is one of the easily top 13, top 12 quarterbacks in this league. Kirk Cousins has earned, all the respect from me, specifically for what he went through in Washington. People don't understand this. He got drafted right after Robert Griffin III. He got drafted to be a backup. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, think about that psychologically. Like, you're an all-conference player, right? And you get drafted to a team just took quarterback 2 overall. You know what? How would that make you feel?
Lucky for him, the coach preferred him. So in his head, he's like, I'm the guy here, and I'm just waiting my turn.
Bro, I'm a big Kirk guy. The clips of him walking in, pointing at the GM and going, "You like that?" after a huge comeback win, dude, it's iconic. He's a great player, and he gets shit on a lot, honestly.
Next on the list, I have Kyler Murray. I was thoroughly impressed because Kyler Murray was one of the guys I actually went back and watched tape on this offseason. Kyler Murray, the last few games of the year when he came back from his ACL, he looked really good. Like he didn't look good like the Kyler Murray that we saw, I guess, in was it 2021, the year that he led to the playoffs. But he looked like he was getting back to himself, And I think this year it's going to be interesting because I don't think the offensive talent is back to the point where they can make a legit playoff run. But I do think next year with a good draft, a good offseason, I think the Cardinals could be definitely a contending team in the NFC. This is my one. I'm not going to lie, where mouths are going to drop. Whatever. I feel how I feel, and I'm going to try to explain it. Next, I have Caleb Williams. The reason that I have Caleb Williams, even though he hasn't played a snap, even though he's a rookie, even though he's this and that, he paints his nails, he wears bags, whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you want to say. I think Caleb Williams is one of the most talented quarterbacks already in this league. We already had the discussion about what makes a quarterback successful. I think that Caleb Williams' floor, and that's why I put him where I put him on the list, talent-wise, is better than Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Tua, and Baker right now. So that's why I put him here on this list. Now, does that mean that he will have a better year than those gentlemen right now? Can I say that with confidence? No. But at the end of the day, this is, my tier list. If you don't like it, hey, tell me about it. But when it comes to Caleb, specifically in the system and in the situation he's in right now, he's got Keenan Allen, he's got DJ Moore, he's got Romo Dunze outside, Cole Kmet, Everett at tight end. He's got DeAndre Swift in the backfield.
Talk about
like,
situation and support too. These guys,
like,
and
dude,
I promise you, Keenan Allen will be his best friend this year. I've seen it happen. I've seen it firsthand. It will be the case.
And beyond that, like everyone's talking about that Green Bay's division to run away with.
Your third tier.
Yeah, I'll try to speed it up here.
Oh, you're good.
Jared Goff. Jared Goff probably had his best year last year since the Super Bowl run that he had with the Rams, in my opinion. It's coming off a really good year. Excited to see what year 2 looks like in that system up there. Jalen Hurts is next. I'm not gonna lie. I have a all 22 film breakdown coming out on Jalen Hurts, so I'll share more of my thoughts on him. But from one year to the next, out of all the quarterbacks on this list, I couldn't have been more disappointed in the player.
Honestly,
Jalen Hurts in 2022, taking my fandom out of it, he was a pretty good quarterback. Was he a top 5 quarterback? Fuck no. But he was a pretty good quarterback in 2022. In 2023, he was one of the most average quarterbacks in the league. So that's why he's in the middle of this list. Next is actually Brock Purdy, quarterback from San Francisco. After him, or before him, I should say, is Jordan Love from Green Bay. Justin Herbert from the Chargers. Above Justin Herbert, I have Matthew Stafford. Quick little insight on my back and forth with Matthew Stafford. I've kind of been a guy with Matthew Stafford. I've kind of dismissed him throughout his career, but this year I decided to finally give him some praise and adoration just for the consistency from year to year. Matthew Stafford is a quarterback who, year to year, whether it was a playoff team or non-playoff team, just continued to just play the quarterback position, in my opinion, the right way. Obviously he's got the crazy arm talent, can make all the solid arm throws, all that crap. And I think that the McVay marriage with Stafford really helped him and obviously led to him winning a Super Bowl. And then the last and final, and I guess top quarterback of my tier 3 is CJ Stroud. He just barely missed the ability to make tier 2, which is the great, sweet, good guys. But I think CJ Stroud, it's all there for him this year. Not only is it all there for him, as a team, they can make a legit playoff run. I think CJ Stroud is a very, very legitimate MVP candidate. With how he looked last year, with the talent that he has around him, with the defense they have as well that are going to keep them in games, I'm very, very high on CJ Stroud.
All right.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think first 7 8. Go ahead, Hayden.
I was going to say, you got a little wacky there towards the end.
I
Um,
was gonna say
I
that. Like
think
the
that
first
was
7 or 8 names, I think we had the same exact people.
no, dude.
Like,
Like seriously, like I think you and I maybe had two or three different, and then you added some really shock value names in there. Um, all right. Do you want to go, Moody?
yeah, sure. Because like I said, we already had some of the same names. Definitely, I'll just kind of run through mine: Murray, Gino, Tua, Cousins, Goff. I think those are like your definition of average quarterbacks in the NFL. And you can be this and still be like a top 12 to 15 guy in the league. There's only 32 of these spots,
Yeah.
so you kind of have to go back and forth. I think guys like and then here, like I think those kind of guys are kind of the guys like if you're in the right system, you can move the needle. If you're not, it could be a 4-win season for you. And I think for guys who are in the good to great or above category, if you're starting 17 games, your team's winning a minimum of 9. Like you got so if you're not doing that, then I gotta put you on the average list. And then other guys I have Jalen Hurts. If you really paid attention in 2022 that I don't think 2023 was surprising. That roster is super talented and good for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. I really feel like as a youth, he looks like young Dak Prescott to me. Like the first 3 years of Dak Prescott, how he looked, pretty much how Jalen Hurts. Similar development, similar type of. I have a super talented roster. I'm doing my job. The team's winning football games, but it hasn't quite clicked for me where I can take on that personal responsibility for the team. It's like if the team's rolling, I'm rolling. But if the team's not, I can't really dig them out of it myself. And not a lot of guys can do that. That's a very short list of quarterbacks who can do that. Brock Purdy, Brock Purdy's a decent quarterback, but Kyle Shanahan's the quarterback for the 49ers, in my opinion. So it's just like he's a vessel. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo go to the Super Bowl and put up great numbers with these guys. Like Kyle Shanahan's the quarterback. Should have put him on the list, honestly, instead of Brock Purdy. And then the last Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love gets a lot of credit for playing a Cowboys defense that didn't show up at all in a football game, but he still has the potential to be very good. And then Trevor Lawrence, he's kind of like hanging on both sides of the thread here. Like he could get tugged to the good great category if things go right for him, and he could be in the unproven bad quarterback territory and with a bad season for him as well. So he has the like highest upside and lowest floor of the average quarterbacks on this list, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll run through that one more time. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, and Kyler Murray.
All
I
right.
forgot to mention Trevor Lawrence. He's in my tier 3 too.
I was gonna say, I was like, shit, man, are you really high on Trevor? But yeah, no, I am. So I'm gonna go bottom up as well. So we'll start at 19 with Geno Smith, Tua, Kirk Cousins. Like I said, I'm a Kirk enthusiast. He's actually a really strong player in the playoffs as well. I got Trevor Lawrence, and he's like you said, he is dead in the middle of my average category. If he has a bad season, he is down to bad, and if he has a good season, he could work his way up. I wouldn't necessarily if he has a. I still wouldn't put him into the next tier. He could hop to the top of this tier though. I think for the next year. Kyler Murray is my next one, and to Artie's credit, Kyler's last couple games were really good, and I think with him, you need to get. He needs to have a coach that can work with him because he is super hit or miss. He's like a very boomer bust kind of a dude, and it's like he's either running around and throwing for 350 yards or he's just completely can't do anything. So I think he is one who's very hit or miss. Next up, I have Baker Mayfield, and I'm actually a big Baker fan. I feel like I have been for a little while, and he just honestly continues to get slept on. He got traded from the Browns after a playoff after he led them to a playoff win. I don't know. I think we're going to see another good year. So then after Baker, I have Brock Purdy, and then I have Jalen Hurts. And I'll say, like, I think Brock Purdy he is the best, like rule follow. Like, you tell him to do X and he does X exactly. And I think he got slept on through the recruiting process, through the draft process, because, like, if you go back and watch his Iowa State film, the stuff that Shanahan has him doing, if you look at that film, he does it so well that it's boring. Like, that people just slept on it because that part was boring, and then they saw him at Iowa State trying to play hero ball, and there wasn't really an in between there, and so they just were like, "Oh, he plays hero ball and he makes short passes," but he's really, really good at a lot of nuanced things. So I like him. I think he's got a really high floor, and he does what you need. And then we've already talked at length about Jalen Hurts. Like, he just kind of fell off, and the offense was tailored to him. It still is to a degree, but it's not exact. It's people are figuring it out. It's not working as well anymore.
Last year, I would say in 2023, it was still tailored for him. Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator now.
Bro, it's bad. It's going to be
I
bad.
don't think there could be a worse offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts than Kellen Moore.
Bro,
I don't think there's one in the league.
And I can
honestly.
speak from experience.
I'm not gonna lie.
We all can.
We all can. We all can.
We all speak from experience. He sucks.
No, brother. And the crazy thing is, it's not even just that he sucks. You're now asking AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Those three names, those are legit weapons outside to run stop routes.
Yeah, little hitches and stuff.
like everyone's talking about how Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a practice interception. That's because they're running stop routes. Those are the plays that you just make a little short dump and it's not an interceptable ball. Like, it's my theme for Philadelphia this season is you guys are going to be so excited to win one playoff game and go home. Because I'm telling you right now, that scheme is going to tire you out by week 4 or 5. You're going to be sitting thinking, what's wrong with the offense? Like, that's what Hayden just went through, and that's what me and Moody went through literally every year. First 3 weeks, offense looks explosive. By week 5, your quarterback is scrambling for his life, making plays on the move.
And then there's no run game either. That is non-existent.
No run game, no screen game.
What the fuck was the point of getting Saquon Barkley? Like,
I'm ready for tier 2.
All right. I guess Arti went first, so I guess I'll start off. Tier 2. Tier 2, great, good. These are the guys where I'm like, if I put you on all 32 teams and you play 17 games, I think you could win 10 games. That is really the definition of what I think belongs in this category.
Hopefully it didn't.
All right, so we're gonna start off with tier 2. These are the guys who, like I said, if they play 17 games for you, I think your team's gonna win 10 games, barring like bad injuries to your supporting cast or yourself. But I think in an average season, these guys will win 10 games. Number 1, right here is Mr. CJ Stroud. I think he's earned his place at this. Like, he was so unbelievably good, probably the best rookie QB season we've seen of all time in terms of impact to winning. Because it was just with, what was it, Nico Collins, Noah Brown. I love Tank Dell, big fan of Tank Dell, obviously, but the fact that he was able to make Houston look the way that they looked with the entire offensive line being hurt all season, absolutely no run game to go off of. He was just making it happen with his own. I mean, Bobby Slowick's a great offensive coordinator in my opinion, but the fact that he was making it happen the way he was just super impressive. Already said he's an MVP candidate. I think he's the favorite, considering what they've added around him, the hype that's going to be around CJ Stroud. I think like he'd have to have a bad season to not be in the conversation. And then I have a couple of next tier guys. These are the guys where I feel like these guys can win playoff games for you. A couple of these guys have gone to the Super Bowl or played in it, and you know they're not quite the I can carry the whole thing, but they can carry enough of it. These would be Mr. Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott. Though I would put those in a similar category right there. These guys are all, when they play top 10 offenses, they look like the best teams in the league all throughout the regular season. I think the help that they need grows as the games bit bigger and the opponents get better. And they can't just go single handedly win a game on their own against a great opponent, but they can go out there and do their job to the highest level, and they can really make impact plays. And I think they carry more of their offense mentally than a lot of these other quarterbacks in the league, and able to like set protection at the line of scrimmage, change the scheme, and audibles. They don't have to just take off to make plays. They can make plays with their mind and their arm, along with a little bit of their legs for Dak and Herbert and those guys. And then the top of tier two, the guys who I think are alien, can go win a game on their own. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Those guys are they're one man offenses. They're doing all the run game. They're doing the passing game for them as well. When those guys are playing multiple 17 games, they're 1 and 2 seeds. They're MVP candidates. They look like, obviously nobody's in the class of Mahomes, which is why there's only one man in my tier one is Patrick Mahomes. But these guys in tier two are just fantastic football players and like perennial MVP, all pro, top of the league type of candidates. So I'll run through it again. Stafford, Stroud, Herbert, Dak, Burrow, Jackson, and then Allen at the top of tier two.
And so I have a little bit. I tacked it a little bit different, and I guess what I'll say is, like, it is there. You do have to consider a lot of other things like coaching and stuff, but I'll get to that when I get to my like kind of tier one, because I have like a tier, I guess tier zero. Patrick Mahomes obviously the best as well, but so I kind of broke it up in a little bit different way. So let's start from 11 for me, and this is the great good. I have Jared Goff, and I'm actually really high on Goff as well. And, he had some down years with the Rams. They were going through a transitional period, but with the Lions, and they modeled the success that got them to the Super Bowl in the first place. That got the Rams to the Super Bowl when Goff was the quarterback. They have a strong running game. They have a creative coordinator, and they have strong weapons. Like, yes, that's a very strong supporting cast, but we were talking about that earlier, that some people just need a little bit extra, and he operates at an extremely high level, and especially when you give him that strong run game. Like, when the second that Todd Gurley fell off for the Rams, his play tanked. So he's kind of someone that I think is in a perfect situation right now, because Dan Campbell likes to run. They've invested heavily in the run game and in the offensive line. And, he doesn't have to go out there and be the guy, but he can do just about anything. And he, with that run game, he can pretty effectively win games. And so then going up, I have Jordan Love, and I think, I was high on him coming out. When he I was high on him coming into the league. When he played Staley's defense, it clicked for him. It just, that defense slowed the game down just enough where it allowed him to figure it out, and he went on a tear from there. I am really excited to see what he does. I mean, he just got paid, which might have been a little bit premature in my opinion, because you've only seen the one, really a half season of good work. But in my opinion, it also means that they really do trust him moving forward. And like, they have a great cast around him. They have a good coaching staff. Like, I trust him to, if they're going to signal that level of trust, then so be it. Let's see it. I have CJ Stroud, like you guys have said, like, he is, the dude. He's young and up and coming. And honestly, I probably, because what we've discussed about Aaron Rodgers, I probably should move him above Rodgers, just because I don't know if I trust him dude was doing probably a lot of ayahuasca in the off season, and he was walking without a crutch in 5 weeks. Whatever alternative healing methods he has are maybe working. And I'm a science guy, but anyways, um, so yeah. Then I have Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford to round out that tier. And so
Oh, so you're oh
I will say I have four people in the upcoming tier, but
oh
I
okay.
have
I thought you had other people. I thought that was the end of your tier two. I was gonna say oh
no. Well, that is the end of my tier two, but I have
He said he split up 1 and 0 into
it's
two different
oh
I have
things.
I have Mahomes as a tier 0 because obviously he's the top guy.
We can all agree. We can all agree. I don't even think we need to waste time on
No, we
Mahomes
don't.
today. He's in his own category.
Yeah.
He's far better than everybody else that we've ever seen, really, since like the Manning Brady guys. So it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. We need to. Yeah, he's not the GOAT yet, but if he sustains his success as is, then there's not an argument. But Brady did it for longer, and let's everybody simmer a little bit on that argument. But all right, Artie, are you up with tier 2, or did you go for? No, Moody went first.
no, it's Artie's turn.
Yeah,
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 I'm still on, correct? I just wanted
yeah.
to be
You're
sure.
on.
yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, I guess it's my turn. My tier two is pretty short and concise. Don't have any differential rankings or anything. These are just guys that I think when you line them up, lace up the cleats, I think that they could win you 10 games, a playoff game, or get you to a conference championship. At the bottom of my list, I have Aaron Rodgers. I know he's coming off that Achilles. I know that he is getting up there in age, but in my humble opinion, and maybe it's just trauma, I don't know, but there's just something about Aaron Rodgers and just that 3rd and 8 ability to just make a play out of nothing that just I can't get it out of my brain. And when you think about it, that year was it 2022? That was the year when they traded Adams, right? Adams was already in, or
Yeah,
he was,
they
yeah,
traded him.
yeah. So that was the first year without Devontae. Well, this year he's got a chance to play with a young Garrett Wilson. And Garrett Wilson is a very phenomenal young wide receiver, and I'm interested to see how that duo goes together. But all in all, just more wishful thinking on my part. Hope Aaron Rodgers can return to that level. But
I
out of
want to.
respect for him, I
I got a
put
little
him.
like about Aaron Rodgers. Like this may be a hot take. He's the best thrower of the football I've ever seen. Like at his peak,
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
it's
saying.
in
Like
terms of like the ability to make whatever throw he wants from whatever angle, whatever platform, or just the simple ones accurately. I've never seen anyone be able to put the ball exactly where it should be better than him ever. Like it's
and that's
other
also
the
things that
thing.
go into being a quarterback, but that particular just throwing the ball, I've never seen anything like
also
it.
his like nuance with his snaps and drawing guys
Yeah,
off
the
line
hard
and stuff
count.
like that. Like he is one of, if not the best at that as well. And so that
That
warranted
and
your
also
so
he is so consistent in those throws. Like you know how if you roll somebody to the right 10 times, a good 3 to 4 throws might be off. I legit think if you roll Aaron Rodgers to the right 10 times, none of them are gonna go to the exact same spot, the exact same way each time.
Yeah.
Like if you asked
it's
him to consistently throw the ball into a bucket, I think he could legitimately do it with no air. Like that's just how accurate and how pinpoint he is. Next I have Joe Burrow. Um, Joe Burrow has always been a weird person to evaluate for me. I do respect the ability to throw the football, but I cannot sit here and put him over some of the other guys I have in this list simply because he, in my opinion, he is the king of I'm successful because of my talent around me, my supporting cast. Like if you go back to his college days, tell me the season, tell me the stretch where Joe Burrow was successful at quarterback without Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson.
So what I'll
You,
say, and it's
you
not
can't.
necessarily like a stretch of season that he was successful without those two. Like you are right, he
Mm-hmm.
has weapons and he always has.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I will say about Joe Burrow is like he does, at least when he was in college coming into the league. I haven't seen his recent interviews, so I don't know, but he had like a level of intensity that was kind of a defining characteristic for him.
Yeah, no.
No,
I definitely think he's got as we say that dog in him, but
yeah.
that's just how I feel. But go ahead, Moody.
I do think Joe Burrow is a little bit of like he goes. I go back and forth with him because like obviously the talent is absurd that's around him. He's never played below a certain standard of talent. But I think obviously like his ability, he kind of reminds me of like a younger Aaron Rodgers. Like his ability to make plays off platform, his consistent accuracy. Like he's really good. But I also think that he gets pushed up to a because of playoff success that really he wasn't the driver of.
Yeah.
And that's where I have a problem with them. Just like everyone's just like, oh, he got sacked 9 times in the Tennessee game and still won. Like, no, like good quarterbacks in the league, they get sacked 9 times. They're not winning the game because their team's falling apart. Like he got out of there because the defense gave him 13 points to a 1 seed on the road. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, he's been impressive, but I've also seen like his team always seems to rise to the occasion for him. And I just have to ding you a little bit when I see you just like, oh man, every time you seem to not have it, the team always seems to have it for you. And give him credit because that'll help you win playoff games. And in order to win playoff games, sometimes you need the team to win, even if you're not at your best. But I don't think that he was the driver for how they got to the Super Bowl, how they got to the AFC title game. I felt the team was the driver. He did his job.
And yes, and just to that point, like I agree. However, I think that there's a level that you have to consider that he is the reason that the team keeps rising to the occasion. Like yes, it's like I'm not saying without a doubt that is the thing, but like if something keeps happening, like they want to play for him. They want to give him the
Yeah.
opportunity to keep trying. And you're right, he was not the driver, but the team drove for him is kind of where what I'm
Mm.
talking about. But yeah, that's kind of a side conversation. That's more of a chicken and egg
No,
conversation.
it's pretty on brand because I agree with both of the things you guys said to a certain extent. Um, as far as him being the driver, I wouldn't consider him the driver either, but he's definitely like
One
right
hand on
behind
the
him. Like
wheel.
it's not
Like
like
he's
it's
good
not like he's
enough
a
that he's comfortably in the top 5, 6 quarterbacks, despite not
yeah
feeling like the driver all the time. Because he's so
yeah
good, it's just like, hey, there's like 2 drivers, 3 drivers in the league.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's
yeah
not a lot of
yeah.
those guys.
Like
Mhm.
I just want to say that I don't want to come off like I'm hating on him or anything like that, but it's more of a we have to hold Joe Burrow accountable, right? Because the next thing I'm about to say, if I said his name after Burrow, people wouldn't bring up bad an eye, but because I'm gonna say him before, they're gonna possibly say something, and that's Dak Prescott. And the main reason why they're gonna say something about Dak Prescott is because well he doesn't see the playoffs, he doesn't do this, he plays for the Cowboys. Well, what Moody just said is the reason why I have not just that, but I have Dak above Burrow. Burrow has always had his team show up for him. Dak Prescott has played in this year now, in this league now, what, 8 years? Just came in every day, did his job, and is developed and evolved into a pretty great quarterback. Yet he doesn't get the credit for doing that because of playoff games where his defense allows 30 points. But
40.
Burrow, but Burrow gets elevated when his defense only gives up 13. He gets sacked 9 times.
I'm excited.
All I'm asking for is fairness. If we're gonna do this, let's be fair about it. Because if you put Dak Prescott on the Cincinnati Bengals and you put Joe Burrow on Dallas Cowboys, both teams have the same results.
Same result. Then I
Yeah.
agree.
Dak Prescott will have been to an AFC Championship game and possibly a Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow would year in, year out get criticized for leaving the playoffs after winning a game. So that's the little Prescott Burrow thing.
Fair.
Um, after that, after Dak, I have Allen. Um, I struggle with this one too because if you ask me who's more talented, it's clearly Allen. Allen's got the humongous arm. He's 6'5", 240, can run like a gazelle. Like, it's clear. But if you ask me who's the better quarterback, I'm not going to lie. Some days I lean Dak because I don't want my quarterback to be so prone to trying to take advantage of the defense that it leads to him costing us opportunities to score because he keeps turning the ball over. And everyone tries to say, oh, well, Josh Allen's just so great. That's why he gets the luxury of turning the ball over. No, he doesn't. You cannot consistently turn the ball over and be considered a great quarterback. He obviously is, because I guess he's an anomaly. But Josh Allen, in my opinion, as great as he is, he's always got that fatal flaw. And that fatal flaw is he cannot escape himself when it comes to chasing the big play. If Josh Allen could simply stop chasing the big play a little bit, Josh Allen, in my opinion, could be in the tier with Mahomes. Obviously, next for me is Lamar Jackson to end the tier 2.
Yeah.
I think last year, as we will probably get to later on and before we get to the season, I think last year he's getting a lot of credit for what he did in that MVP season, but all in all, we'll get to it, Moody. All in all, I think Lamar Jackson definitely an example of what happens when you fully invest in your quarterback and you let him develop on his own. He was picked at the end of the first round of 2018
Yep.
in a draft that was featuring Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, obviously
All
Baker
the
Mayfield.
bangers.
Um,
It's just how do you watch Lamar at Louisville and be like, yeah, I need some Sam Darnold. It
To be
just,
fair, like
it just.
they were the
how do
prospects
you
were
watch
good.
that and you think, oh, I'm going to draft Josh Rosen? Like, yeah, that's our guy.
And it's not even it's not disrespect to Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. I like Josh Rosen. I thought Josh Rosen deserved to be drafted where he was drafted. So don't take my name on quarterbacks for anything. But it's just like we watched Lamar, like we saw that.
Yeah.
And it's just like you saw that and you were just like.
Well,
Like Sam Darnold wasn't so impressive at USC where I'm just like, yeah, this guy's better than Lamar Jackson. It just never made any sense to me.
The issue is like you had like the RG3 injury, which happened 6 years before. So it's like people, at least I remember around that time where like shit.
It didn't seem crazy on that day. I will say at the time it didn't seem crazy, but
now
in hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, now it seems crazy. All right. And so I'm gonna round out this elite tier. And these are my ranked 5 through 2. And the way that I approach these guys is you can like people can make any arguments you want. You can go round and round and round. At the end of the day, these 4 guys I think can be sliced any way 2 through 5, and it's okay with me. So I have 5 Lamar Jackson, I have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and then Justin Herbert. And I'm biased. We're all biased. Let me and we've talked at length about, now Lamar, Burrow, and Allen. And let me tell you why I have Herbert as my completely unbiased number 2. So Justin Herbert has since he's come in the league, he has scored the most points through his first 3 seasons with 1,233 points, but his defense has allowed the most points in his first 3 seasons. Both of these are since the NFL merger, by the way, at 1,256 points. He broke every single, aside from, I believe it was No, he broke every single rookie touchdown record in 15 games because he sat out week 1, and it was when we had 16 games instead of 7.
Y'all tried to kill Tyrod Taylor for him.
Yeah, I'm not. Hey, I won't say anything. That doctor probably saw some of the practice and was like, "We're gonna shove a golf tee in."
I'm making an executive decision.
Yeah,
here.
exactly. He made an executive
Hey,
decision.
we're gonna call it business decisions. Business
Dude,
decisions.
it is what it is. You know what I mean? So he is somebody who I've watched every game, like you guys have watched every game of Dak. I've watched every game of Herbert, and I've seen him make plays that are just alien. Like you talked about Josh Allen. Like there's some throws he makes that no other quarterbacks aside from Herbert and Mahomes can make. And if you are looking at the total touchdowns through the first since they've been drafted, out of like the most recent, I think it's like the last 3 seasons. Um, Mahomes is at number 1, and then Josh Allen and Justin Herbert are tied at 2 for most touchdowns total. And so when you talk about, like he gets consistently the short end of the stick because he had to deal with.
I had one take on Herbert. My reasoning for having Herbert a little bit lower, I had him in tier 3, was it's more of it's nothing against Herbert's talent, but I do want to see him more often than not when it comes to, you know, big games. Like you obviously can only do so much when you play quarterback, right? Because you only play offense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just wish Herbert would take more advantage of like situations. Not opportunities, more situations.
I get that. I get that. And if you're thinking there's like one thing people point to is he airmailed a pass in the Jaguars game that should have been a TD. What I'll say if you're up 24-0, you shouldn't blow that lead anyways, and that TD shouldn't like allegedly shouldn't matter. That whole coaching staff could not adjust, and you can go back and see they were statistically the worst third quarter team in NFL history. No, I get where you're coming from now. I do think that if you're going to say, like, in fairness, we need to afford this, we need to give Dak the benefit of the doubt in this way. In fairness, we need to give Herbert the benefit of the doubt in the exact same way. He has
No,
had the worst
yeah.
coach and team aside from Keenan Allen, like that possible. Like there was legitimately a Twitter thread going around last year that was like, did Austin Eckler run more than a pack of floss, which is 43 and a half yards? And a lot of times, no, he didn't. So it's just one of those things.
The last question is
Okay.
which quarterback are you most excited to watch in the 2024 NFL season?
Okay. So I'm gonna say one that's I'm just gonna say one different because I feel like I know a lot of people. I'm gonna go with my guy Baker. I'm excited to watch Baker Mayfield, and I know a lot of people are. I know you guys are probably going to pick some rookies or a year 2 guy, which I was leaning towards. But like, I want to see Baker put up another good season. I want to see him make that jump into into the next tier. I think he can do it.
Like a guy who's going to stick around for a little bit. I definitely understand
Like,
because Baker seemed like he was kind of teetering, and now he's kind of found his footing again.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe he's going to be a guy who's going to be around for a little while.
That's my exactly.
I went with 3. I picked 3 guys. I cheated a little bit because I want to see different guys for different reasons. Obviously, Hayden talked about the year 1, year 2 guys. I think the year 2 guy I want to see the most is Anthony Richardson because it's just like, especially in the Shane Steichen offense, he could be so good. Like y'all thought Jalen Hurts in 2022 was something. Like add 3 more inches of height, 25 more pounds, and more athleticism, and let's see what Anthony Richardson can do in that offense.
Right.
if he can stay on the field,
I
it's going to
was
be
so
ridiculous to
I was
see.
gonna say I'm a little worried about his shoulder because that is the
Yeah.
injury that like derailed Cam Newton's career. And yes, he's younger and everything, but like I'm interested to see that too.
Oh yeah, he's at risk.
I hope he's good.
He's at risk, definitely. And then probably the quarterback who he's on the third right, he's on the thumbnail right here. The guy that I'm most excited to be Mr. Aaron Rodgers. We've been talking about we talked about Aaron Rodgers at length in this show, man. Like this is one of the greatest dudes to ever do it. I think, in my opinion, one of the 5 best guys to ever play the quarterback position. He may not have the success of some other top 5 guys, but in terms of, hey man, we watch it, man. We see what he's doing out here. I don't know if there's been a whole lot better than that. And then Artie's guy, Caleb Williams. I'm also in the category of Caleb Williams as a generational QB talent. Like I feel like this is a guy, especially off script, off platform. Mahomes is the only guy I've really ever seen be able to do the stuff that he does, and he hasn't even been in the league yet. But just from what I was watching in college, the ability to just be off platform, sidearm, and the ball just goes 30 yards exactly where it's supposed to be. He's got super talent, man. He's not huge as like a big person, so I do worry a little bit about if he gets smacked up a little bit in the NFL. How does that look for him? But in terms of the talent, man, it's just like he does. I think he does the regular stuff better than people think in terms of like the simple things, just like running the offense on schedule. But his ceiling off schedule, his ceiling off platform is stupid, and I just can't wait to see what that looks like.
I couldn't agree more. That's my quarterback. I'm most excited to see this season is Caleb Williams. Not just because of the industry that I'm in, as far as evaluating college prospects, but boy oh boy, I already said it earlier, but again, that dude is walking into that building, and I know he's just smiling from ear to ear every day. Like, I watched the pivot interview he did where he says he's the same person every day. There's no way you're the same person that you were in USC last year and walking in that Chicago Bears facility every day. Like, you have so much talent, not only on the offensive side, but they've got some dogs on the defensive side of the ball, too. So that's a team that has a legit chance to make the playoffs, and I think he's going to be a big part of the reason why.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Quarterbacks, man, overvalued importance, but you don't want to not have one. That's really the biggest thing you can say about the QB position. You don't want to be caught without one, and I think we're all very happy with the guys that we have now. I don't know how much longer we're going to have ours, Artie, but we're going to enjoy it while we have them. I think he's going to become more of a problem for Hayden in the future, but we'll talk about that in 2025.
Shoot. That's gonna wrap it for episode 22 of the Sunday Spiral. We appreciate everyone's time today, of course, and we just appreciate you, the viewers, for tapping in with us for another season of NFL coverage. If you please like the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Share with your friends, your homies, your homegirls, whatever. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We'll get this thing back rolling, back bi-weekly for you guys. But that's all we got. Everyone, again, appreciate everyone for joining tonight, and we'll catch you guys next time.